What's going on YouTube? Doug Smith here, and today we're going to boost your plants by improving plant growth, how well the plant feeds, and overall performance with this one secret tip. That's coming up. Okay, so in general, there's tons of tips out there about how to improve your plant's growth, how well it's feeding, different fertilizers and stuff that you can use to help make it feed better, different things people claim to make it just overall perform way better than anything. There's a ton of old farmers tricks, but a lot of the stuff comes down to a thing called the pH scale. On the pH scale, you have right here, you have, what doesn't show on this chart, a pH that goes all the way down from 1 all the way up to 14. And I believe it actually goes from, 0 to 14. Nonetheless, 7 is neutral. 7 is not acidic and it's not alkaline. It is dead center, right in the middle, pure neutral. When you are doing stuff to better your plant's performance or its growth, if you're adding certain type of fertilizers or, for instance, Epsom salt, you want to make sure that after you've done all that, you test the pH of your water, because as this chart shows, right between 5.5 and 6.5, those are the ideal spots. Now, this isn't a chart I made. This is something I got from some products I ordered from General Hydroponics. Now, all things considered, this doesn't mean only for hydroponic setups. This is a general rule. For lawn care, for instance, before you do any major renovations, they always recommend that you do a soil pH test. Now, in the sense of doing a soil test, you can get the pH of your soil as well as what levels of all your nutrients are available. A little different for water. There are different various ways of testing how many parts per million and all that. I'm not going to get that technical today. Today we're just going to talk about this one tip. And I kind of think it's like a secret tip. I don't think people try to keep it a secret. I just think people don't speak about it as much unless you're going really, really serious, dedicated, like you're trying to grow the world's biggest tomato kind of thing. So when you're watering any type of plant, really, nothing wrong with preparing some water. Maybe you want to add some Miracle Grow or some other type of fertilizer, or maybe you're adding Epsom salt. You want to go ahead and test the pH of the water. All right, now in this kit that I received from General Hydroponics, they come with a pH solution, and as you can see on the container, see where it says 4.0, 5, 6, 6.5, 7, 8, 8.5. Now the scale does go much lower and it goes much higher. As I said, it goes between either 1 or 0 all the way up to 14, with 7 being right in the middle. So what works is to test the pH. You can use something like a small container that comes with this, and I'll actually put a link in the description for this because it was actually very cheap. I got a container of pH up and pH down, which we'll discuss in just a second. But you can put your sample in this container. If you want, you could use a little dropper to add it to the container, and then you put a few drops of this, shake it up, and match the colors. So knowing that between 5.5 and 6.5, if you're using it this way, you want to see kind of like a yellow, pretty much yellow. You don't want to see any orange or reddish color. That means the pH is too low. If you see too much blue or green, that means the pH is too high. And the reason why that's important is because your plant will not take in the nutrients if it's too high or too low. Now on this chart, it does kind of show, there we go. If I'll see if I can get a freeze frame of this. If you stay between the 5.5 and the 6.5, basically at 6, if you run visually from 6.0 all the way down the chart, you see that every type of nutrient on there is pretty available at that pH level. Not only is it about how available the nutrients are, but the plant itself will not perform if the pH is too low. So right here I got me maybe 2 or 3 gallons, maybe 4 gallons of water, I'm not sure. And instead of doing the eyedropper, I'm gonna show you something that I bought to make it way easier. All right, so this is called a pH pen or a testing pen. And I got this, I believe it was just pH meter is the brand. And as I was saying, I couldn't remember if it was 0 or if it was 1. I don't know if you can see that, it goes 0 to 14. So that's how the pH works. But we'll get into the pen. What makes this pen so much better is, and I'll see if I can get it so you can see the screen, you basically just submerge it and then you turn it on. And you'll kind of give it a little swish. So that way you can see where the pH is coming in at. And right now it appears that we are looking a little on the high side, as we want to stay around 6, I would say 6 to 6.1. That's just personal preference. Again, 5.5 to 6.5 is your ideal range. I like to stay right around 6. So we'll go ahead and load this pH down. So here's the bottle of the chemical pH down. Now this is an acid type solution, so you really don't want to get this on your skin. That's where the the dropper. That's where this little dropper comes in. And when you're pHing your water, this stuff goes quite a ways. If you have, you know, just like a bottle of water and you're trying to bring it down from 7 to 6, maybe like 1 drop's all you need. But we got a few gallons here, so I'll put maybe 4 or 5 or 6 drops in there. And we'll see where that brings us. A good tip is I always put the remaining back into the container, and then to rinse it out, I just kind of squish and fill it up and spray it out. And that'll kind of help clean out your little dropper, if this is the method you go with. So we will go ahead and give this a nice little stir, and we'll break out the pen. All right, now we are back with our pen. So, yeah. So we're coming right around 6.3, which to me I think is going to do us just fine. I'd like this to be maybe just a drop or 2 lower. So off camera, what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and add maybe another drop or 2, mix it, and I'll let you know what we end up coming down to. All right, so I just added about 4 more drops into this. I'm not sure if you were counting when I had the original amount. So altogether maybe like 8 or 9 drops, I'm guessing. If you guys are counting, just leave them in the description, and maybe we'll see how close that can translate per gallon. I still got to measure out how many actual gallons are in this container. This is a tiny cat and it just says pounds, not gallons. So yeah, we added just a few more. We ended up getting down to a 6.1, which for me is what I think is about perfect. Now, you know, between these 2 products here, the pH testing pen and the products from General Hydroponics, these are fairly cheap. They do make some very expensive versions of these, but I want to say I didn't pay much. Maybe like 10, 15 bucks, maybe all together for the 2, maybe $25. So, you know, I'll leave in the description, you know, links to where you can check these out. I just get all my stuff on Amazon, way easy. But with that, you know, whether you're using your water just straight up from the tap or from the rain, or you're adding some Epsom salt, you know, which if you're mixing it, just mix it the way I explained in a couple previous videos, 2 tablespoons per gallon. I just kind of eyeballed it. But when you're going to do all this stuff, if you're adding Miracle Grow, or you're adding seaweed extract, or you know, who knows, whatever kind of additives you might have found at the store, ordered online, to add to your plants. But after you add it to your water, that's when you want to do your pH, because if you pH your water first, then add the stuff, it could mess your pH up. All that stuff's great, and I make, you know, profound claims about Epsom salt, how, you know, it'll bring all your plants back and everything, but overall your plant will not take anything up unless it's in the right pH range. So I hope this video has been informative. I hope that we've covered how to improve the growth, the performance, the yield, the flavor, the colors, whatever it is of your plant that you want to. The overall thing is whatever you're adding to it, whatever type of water you're using. I know people use rain collection systems, or they use straight from their hose, or maybe they go and buy bottled water, which of all three, they all have different variable pHs. And even your tap water, if you just use your hose water as well as I do, you want to test that on almost daily, every couple days, because believe it or not, your pH will go up, it'll go down from the water treatment plant. So all things to keep in mind, but between 5.5 and 6.5 is where you want to stay to make sure that your pH is proper for your plant to be able to take in the nutrients that are there. And one other note is, if you are using a planter and you want to know maybe in more detail how to get the pH correct, maybe you've been watering with other water for a while, a trick that I use on occasion is maybe once every couple weeks I will just take some water and I'll pH it to 7 exactly, and I will flood out my planter, and the water that runs off has now come through the soil, and I will collect that water, and then I will do a pH test on that water. So if that water comes out as low as 5, then I know that it has a very acidic soil base. So then instead of putting the water in at 7, I might put it in at 8. So sounds crazy, but that will, adjust, so when it hits the soil, it'll bring the pH to 6 instead of 5. I just bring it up 1. There's variations there. Have fun with this. Like I said, these little pH test kits, they're cheap. You can even get litmus strips that'll tell you. There's a variation of different ways, but if you're looking for that extra little tip, like I said, it's kind of like a secret tip because nobody's really talking about it. But if you're looking for that extra gain to get more performance, better growth out of your plants, whether it be in the ground or in a pot or in a hanging plant or hydroponically or however, this is going to be a game changer for you. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you found some informative information. If this video has been fun for you, smash the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and hit the little bell icon so you can see more videos like this coming up every week-ish. Alright, we'll see you on the next video. Now it's time to water. Ground is so hot. Barefoot.